please. Why? What have you done to your life, ma'am? What's up, guys? It's Devin Harrington, the Average Gen Xer, and welcome back to my channel, where today we are headed over to the Childfree subreddit to see some pretty crazy posts by people who have chosen not to have children in the 21st century, where the world is falling apart and overpopulated. And somehow people still give them shit about it. So let's check those out. But first, if you watch my content, you know that before every video, I like to plead for all animal lovers to please consider fostering or volunteering on site with your local animal shelter. Please keep in mind that every animal, just like every human, is an individual, and they all have a story, and they all have a background. And this guy, my Kubi, his story is that he was one of 5 puppies born to a mama pitty who was chained to a trailer out in the country. And it's an all too common, sad story. But there was a snowstorm coming. Texas is not really good at dealing with winter weather. And so these babies were going to freeze to death outside. And a rescue stepped in, and because I was able to foster, took all 5 of them and bottle fed them. And Kubi was always my favorite, and he knew it, so I kept him. So if you love animals, please consider fostering or volunteering on site for your local animal shelter. Thank you. Okay, so first post is by user Trevor the Sea Frog, and it's titled, "If I ever had any doubts about being child-free, this baby shower sealed the deal." And it's a rant. I need to rant for a bit, so here goes. If I ever thought I wasn't 100% sure about being child-free, this baby shower convinced me to get sterilized for good. The party was thrown by a friend who for years swore she didn't want kids. I've made a post about that before, so I won't rehash it here. She invited her whole family and our friend group. My partner and I stuck with our longtime friends, some of whom now have kids. Oh, and the drinks weren't free. What? She had you come to her baby shower and didn't give you free drinks and food? The ex-child free by choice couple who hosted complained multiple times about being broke, yet still expected guests to pay for drinks and other things at their party. But I'll get back to them later. Almost everyone we talked to either complained about their kids or talked about wanting them, and it was exhausting. I'll categorize the couples so it's easier to follow. Couple number 1. They used to be great together before their first kid. Now, on the verge of splitting multiple times. My friend showed up alone again and told me having their first child wrecked their relationship. You hear that a lot. Therapy made them realize they don't love each other like they used to, but they still care for one another. Oh, wow. That's a really, I have to make a video about that because so many people have their first child and say having kids destroyed their relationship. I mean, you can't expect it to stay the same. It's just the logistics of it. Okay, they go on. They still care for one another, so they can't break up. Their kids are so difficult that they've spent nights just holding hands in bed, crying until morning. Jesus, what kind of life is that? And they're talking about, I never get over this. They are talking about having kids, the thing that even today little girls are brought up to dream of, the day where they put on the big white dress and then they are someone's wifey and then they have their first baby, and how it's all going to be Disney and rainbows. And it's, oh God, thank God for these forums where people can tell the truth. Okay, couple number 2. Didn't enjoy the evening at all because their 2 young kids refused to sleep even after midnight. The mom spent most of the night smoking and drinking outside while the dad wrangled the hyper kids alone. Ugh, they brought the kids. I guess bringing kids to a baby shower is no big deal, but isn't it supposed to be about the new baby that's coming? See, people can't even afford a babysitter these days because of how expensive everything is. That, at least in the US, you can't afford a babysitter, you can't afford to have children. Don't do it. Don't ruin your life. They go on. He told us, half joking, that their son broke their expensive TV twice and that they're both exhausted. The mom, quite tipsy, admitted she hates her life, has no time for herself, and even vacations are hell because of the kids. She constantly belittles her husband in public and even posts Facebook stories mocking him for loving his beer more than her. Ugh. It was uncomfortable to watch. It was uncomfortable to read. Okay, couple number 3. A longtime friend who finally had the baby she'd always wanted. Had the baby a few months ago. The baby is cute and well behaved for everyone except her. He puked and drooled all over her within a few minutes of arriving. Well, he is a baby. That's what they do. And she spent that night begging us to take him so she could dance, smoke, and drink. Every time she came back, it was to complain about how she has zero time for herself. Sometimes the baby cries so much at night, she has to do a dance show to calm him down. Oh, please, why? What have you done to your life, ma'am? She also told me, way too much detail, that she's trying for another baby. Her partner works long shifts in healthcare, and her 18-hour labor was pure agony. Eventually, one of our friends snapped and told her, "You wanted a kid, now deal with it." That's the answer to pretty much every complaint about kids. Couple number 4, the guy wouldn't stop talking in explicit detail about trying to conceive with his girlfriend. I'm not even going to repeat it. I want it out of my head. Ew. Why do people feel like it's okay to give strangers details about their sex life only in the context of trying to conceive? I mean, people don't talk about their sex life at parties just standing around regularly. At least no party I've been to. Couple number 5, the hosts. They complain about being broke. They don't have a car. She doesn't work, and his job is unstable. Lots of recent layoffs. Yet they chose to have a baby. The evening ended with him proudly saying he's glad the baby is a boy so he can carry on the family name. God. How many generations have been brainwashed by that concept of carrying on the family name? It comes from a time when there were way, way, way less people on Earth. The whole concept of carrying on the family name, like, who frickin' cares? You're gonna put yourself through that misery just so you can have someone with your same last name? It's so sad. It's so pointless. Okay. Meanwhile, other kids were screaming, popping balloons right next to people's ears, throwing food, putting half-chewed stuff back on the buffet, etc. When we finally got home, we blasted Slipknot in the car, had a long hot shower, did my skincare, and slept in the next morning. My first thought? Gratitude that I don't have to deal with kids needing constant attention. Instead, I enjoyed a calm morning making a healthy breakfast. When my partner woke up, he suggested a spa weekend because I was tired from dancing and singing the night before. He also booked tickets for a stand-up comedian I wanted to see, and we ended the day playing video games together. Please note, English isn't my first language, so I used AI to correct my horrendous grammar and syntax. Hope that's okay. Yeah, AI did a damn good job. Okay. Consort of Lady Vader said, yeah, the good and bad from moving to and around 8 different states is you tend to not be around the people you grew up with that have kids. Yes, I can confirm. I moved away from where I'm from at 23. And, as the years went by, all my friends got married and had kids, or most of them got married and had kids. Actually, I have quite a few friends that never married and never had kids because Fuck that. um, Kate Herrera stopped going to baby showers a number of years ago, partly because of the nausea-inducing games, like guess what food is in the diaper? Ew. Spoiler alert, it's always pudding, but mostly because they're boring as fuck. I know showers pass as entertainment for some people, but I have hobbies, a social life, and live in a vibrant city where there's always something new or cool to do. Don't torture yourself in the future. Send a gift with your regrets and write a nice text the day of the party so your friend knows you're thinking of them. That is very sound advice. Okay, next post is by Greek Geek 2000. Why do breeders have kids and then proceed to complain nonstop? And this is also a rant. What exactly do you expect? You just decided to take on a lifetime responsibility of taking care of every single need of another human being, potentially even more than one. You get no sleep? No shit. Obviously, you ain't getting no sleep. Someone must feed the kid 10 times a day, and that ain't going to be me. You lost your identity and freedom? Maybe you should bother 5 minutes to read those countless stories of regretful parents shouting warnings from the rooftops to not have kids because you'll literally give up your life for someone else. I have zero sympathy for parents who bitch about parent responsibilities for literally 20 plus years. You signed up for it. Now deal with it. Exactly. Yep. Vegetable Soft commented, because they don't want kids. They want babies. Yes. They think it's all fun, but then they realize it's a no return policy on a life subscription and they hate it. Yeah. But this person is absolutely on the money. People do want babies. It's like how kids want a puppy. They want a puppy that they can play with and pet and snuggle and sleep with, but they don't want the responsibilities of picking up dog poop and feeding and watering and always being available or have your dog's needs in the back of your mind. They just want puppy. And I think this person is right. Most people want babies, but they don't want what comes with taking care of a baby. They just want to have, oh, look what I did. Sad. Candy Cat 86, heavy on this one. They like having babies as accessories, not the toddler horror that comes after. Charming Coffee said, I'd say they just want to reproduce since the life is hardwired to survive and reproduce. We just overestimate how self-conscious average human is. Fun fact, they are not. Well, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the sad truth? Yeah, they think you have to reproduce. There's plenty of people that can't reproduce. So, what are they not actual humans? Silliness. This is all silliness. Yeah, and this is the problem, is that we just overestimate how self-conscious, how aware the average person is. So if the average person was aware, they would start thinking as when they hit puberty or so. Do I want children? But most people don't do that. They just go with the flow. And they end up on the regretful parents subreddit. Critical Potential said they get excited about the novelty of it, yeah, and then realize how quickly that wears off with the realization they have 18 years minimum to worry about it. All Humans Suck commented this. I've been around people who swoon when the baby is born, and as soon as they turn 2 and learn the word no, they're mistreated and ignored. No playtime with them or sitting with patients to teach them social skills. The parenting just falls off and becomes, stop doing that. Leave me alone. Here's my phone. Ugh. Then they have another baby. Oh my God. Why do you do this to yourselves, people? Dystopian Dreamer 1984 said, this is exactly what happened to my sister-in-law. She only had her first kid because she wanted a cute little doll to dress up and take photos of. Disgusting. She got so much attention and praise for having the kid, and she'd spam so many photos in the family group chat of the baby just sitting in the crib drooling. Then the baby grew up into a demanding toddler that was also a screen addict. The kid learned no, became more mobile, and required more food. The kid would also wake up in the early hours and barge into their bedroom, crying loudly. Sister in law began to complain about how annoying her child was, despite barely doing anything to assist my brother, who was expected to feed, bathe, and change the kid, because sister in law found everything to be too much. Why did this chick have. Oh, she already said why she had a kid. God. So pointless. This poor baby. Suddenly, sister in law made the announcement that she was having a second baby. And everybody, with the exception of me, praised and validated sister in law once again. She only got pregnant again because her older sister had a baby, and she was worried that she'd be pushed out of the spotlight and forgotten about. Such a valid reason to have another kid. Good God. That's awful. Okay, next post is from Valuable Tip, and it is called Childbirth is Not a Miracle. And thank you, Valuable Tip, for saying so, because I am sick and tired of hearing about the miracle birth, too. And this is also a rant. It's very much science. Reproduction. Haploids, gametes, zygotes, hello? This wording really angers me, mostly because women's reproductive health is a field of medicine and science that has never been taken seriously. Amen, sis! Valuable Tip, you are correct. There's still so much we don't know about what happens to the human body while it's in labor, menopause, hormone replacement therapy, etc. Thank God I have a doctor who liberally writes those hormone replacement therapies prescriptions, because otherwise I'd be in prison. Even recently, funding has been cut for studies that would address these shortcomings and lapses in knowledge. That is shameful. I am ashamed, because when I was in high school in the 80s, the world was not like this. We had just ridden the wave of women's rights, and Roe v. Wade was law of the land, and it was everybody was free to do with their own body what they choose to. And I foolishly assumed that we would continue to progress. But that's not the case here in these United States of America. Okay, that was a tangent. But getting back to Valuable Tips post. Calling your pregnancy a miracle or a new baby a miracle is also cringe, in my opinion. Now, I understand there are people that go through years of torturous fertility treatments, and when they finally are able to have their baby, it does seem like a miracle because they worked so hard and they had such a hard time getting pregnant. And we have to find a way to, I say this quite often, and I know it's stupid and I know it's not logical, but I wish we could find a way for someone like me who didn't want kids when I was fertile to give my fertility to someone who desperately wants kids and is infertile or has a hard time getting pregnant. Okay, moving on to, they go on. I understand people who have had reproductive issues feeling that way when they finally can conceive, but I don't think your baby is a miracle. It's a baby. Also, when does it stop being a miracle? Is your baby still a miracle when it's a teenager? Is every person who ever lived a miracle? I don't know. I just got back from a weekend where a friend is pregnant and her mom wouldn't stop talking about what a miracle childbirth is. Oh, God. It's not. In fact, it is so not a miracle that it kills women, like, all the time. Mic drop. USPS OIG said 8 billion active miracles as we speak. 8.3 billion, actually. Far too many. Our Bed said, exactly, at this point, it's just basic biology on repeat. Lady Stardust said, some miracles turned out to be politicians or criminals, so... Joy Maury said, what do you mean, or? Politicians and criminals are basically the same thing. The Shedditor. A friend of mine had her second baby, and the next day she ended up on life support from becoming septic. Had a hand and, oh my God, had a hand and a leg amputated. She will never be the same. She had a 5% chance of living. That is a miracle. And now I have a fear of something horrible happening to anyone I know who births a baby. Yippee. Jesus. Ended up on life support the next day from becoming septic. Does anyone know how you become septic? It's an infection, right? Okay, I had to look that up. So sepsis after childbirth, also known as maternal sepsis, is a life-threatening condition, arises when the body's response to an infection goes into overdrive, attacking its own organs and tissues. After childbirth, infections can develop in the uterus and surgical wounds like a C-section, incision, or other areas of the reproductive tract, allowing bacteria to enter the bloodstream. Ew. My God. I mean, someone should put together a list of all the reasons why you shouldn't have children and publish it in a book to give to anyone who is considering having a child. Okay, get off your soapbox, Dev. Okay, last post for today. There's so many good ones on the Child-Free sub that I'm going to have to do like another volume of these. Anyway, this last post is from One Sick Bitch. Reason number 18,182,892 not to give birth. Trigger warning, gory. Yikes. And this is also a rant. We like to rant on the Child-Free sub. Okay, so they say, when my family member gave birth to my relative, her labia ripped. This is very common, which is horrific. Hello? I am today years old when I found out that your labia can rip during childbirth. It was only a few years ago that I found out that you could rip up the front and lose sensitivity in your clitoris from giving birth. How is that not common knowledge? Why does like every little girl not learn that in health class in high school? Oh, I wonder why. Jeez. Okay, they go on. She was stitched up incorrectly by her doctor. Ooh, her labia grew back together wrong, partially covering her urethra. She could still pee, but she would have UTIs constantly. No. I could not do it. I have a long history of UTIs and bladder health issues, and I've made videos on it before, but can you imagine getting a UTI because your doctor sewed you up wrong? They go on. I get a full body horror cringe when I think of this. Yeah, you and me both, sis. And to think that this woman still thinks childbirth is magical. Well, if she truly does feel that way, then she is someone who should have children. It doesn't mind the sacrifice. They go on. It's probably too late to sue or do anything, but imagine how many doctors' fuck-ups have mothers walking wounded. Think about how many people die or are injured during childbirth, even when everything goes according to plan. It makes me sad and kind of sick to my stomach. Yeah, it is just so completely unfair. And then the baby comes, and the vast majority of couples, not all, but the majority of the regretful parents couples, the wife or the mother is just expected to do the vast majority of the work. Okay, some comments on this one. Horrible person said, nope. Princess Cuddlefish said, hard, same. Rain Norma said, my labor and delivery nurse friend was telling me yesterday that the labia tearing is common. Hell to the no. Also, you can rip to your clit and lose sensitivity forever. Can you imagine? See, like, these are grown women just reading about this on Reddit and just finding out about it. And if you have never had kids because you're child free, then that's why you're on the child free sub, then you probably wouldn't know. But I didn't know until recently that over 80% of women tear giving birth. If it's fucking natural and we were built to do it, why is the design so poor? I would like to speak to the designer, please. One sick bitch said, it's so atrociously painful. And yeah, if you can rip all the way up the front, why would I ever want that? If there's even a chance of it happening, I'm noping out. Rain Normal commented, yeah, I mean, I would never get over going through all that while the father just has an orgasm and gets to have a kid. I would be forever resentful of him and the child if I lost my damn clit in the process. And there are women that have been on these subs that have said, oh yeah, that happened to me and it's a drag, but I have my 3 kids. Silly. I mean, like I said, if it's worth it to you, then you are someone who should have children, but the vast majority of us should not. The Aardvark of Lore commented, I will forever maintain the contributions of the father is one small squirt, and yet it makes so many people so mad. Bro, why? Men literally jack off inside a woman one time, and that's it. That's the bit. That's all they do to create life. And it feels good to them. It's pleasurable, and it causes 0 body horror side effects. Meanwhile, the mother might not even come, and suddenly she's got a library's worth of complications, many of which are life-altering or life-threatening or both. The reproductive burden is tilted. The reproductive burden being tilted is like the understatement of all time. Anyway, that's what I have for you today, guys. Let me know what you think of these posts from the Child Free sub. And do you have kids? Are you child free? Can you relate to any of these stories on here? Let me know. I am curious to hear your thoughts. So if you like this video, please like it. Please subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.